Have you ever had a moment where something just didn't feel right in your body? Maybe it was a strange fatigue, a little dizziness, or even a nagging pain in your jaw that you brushed off as nothing. It's easy to ignore these things, especially as we get older. We tell ourselves, oh, it's just part of aging, or I probably didn't drink enough water today. But what if those small, seemingly harmless changes were actually your body trying to warn you about something serious? The truth is, your body speaks to you long before a major health crisis happens, especially when it comes to your heart. And when it comes to heart attacks, most people think they happen suddenly without warning. But that's not true. Your body actually starts giving you signals weeks in advance. The problem? Most people don't recognize them until it's too late. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. The 5 silent warning signs your body gives you 30 days before a heart attack and what you can do to protect yourself. This is one of the most important videos you'll watch because understanding these signs could literally save your life. I want you to imagine for a moment you wake up one day feeling just a little off. Nothing dramatic, just different. You shrug it off, go about your day, and tell yourself it's nothing. Then a few weeks later, you suddenly clutch your chest, struggling to breathe, wondering why you didn't see it coming. But you could have. That's why we're talking about this today, so you never have to be in that position. Let's start with the first sign, one that most people would never connect to their heart. Have you ever found yourself feeling unusually exhausted, even after a good night's sleep? I'm not talking about the normal tiredness that comes with a long day. I mean a kind of exhaustion that makes everyday tasks feel like climbing a mountain. Maybe you notice that just walking to the mailbox feels harder than usual, or you need to sit down and rest more often. If that sounds familiar, your heart might be struggling to pump enough oxygen-rich blood to your body. Fatigue like this is one of the most overlooked warning signs of an upcoming heart attack, especially in older adults. It doesn't come on suddenly like chest pain. It creeps in slowly, making it easy to dismiss. Many people assume they're just getting older, or they blame it on stress, poor sleep, or even depression. But when your heart isn't working as efficiently as it should, your body doesn't get enough oxygen, and that leaves you feeling drained even when you haven't done much. Here's something to think about. Have you recently found yourself taking more naps than usual? Have you ever had a day where even a simple trip to the store left you feeling wiped out? That could be your heart telling you it's working overtime. This kind of fatigue tends to happen most in the morning or early evening, a key detail that many people don't realize. If this sounds like something you've been experiencing, don't ignore it. It's time to check in with your doctor and listen to what your body is trying to tell you. Now let's talk about the second warning sign, and this one surprises a lot of people. Unusual pain in your shoulders, arms, or jaw. When people think of a heart attack, they often picture chest pain, clutching their chest in agony like in the movies. But many people, especially older adults, never experience chest pain at all. Instead, the pain shows up in places you wouldn't expect, like the arms, back, neck, or jaw. Imagine this. You're sitting in your favorite chair, watching TV, when you suddenly notice a dull ache in your left shoulder. It's not sharp, it's not unbearable, it's just there. Maybe it even comes and goes. You assume you slept funny, or maybe overdid it with some gardening the other day. But what if that pain wasn't muscle related at all? What if it was actually referred pain from your heart? Here's why this happens. Your heart doesn't have a lot of nerve endings, but the surrounding areas, your arms, jaw, neck, and even upper back, do. When something goes wrong with your heart, the pain signals travel to these other areas, tricking you into thinking the problem is elsewhere. This is especially common in women and older adults, who may not experience the classic crushing chest pain that men typically report. So, how do you tell the difference between normal muscle pain and a potential heart warning sign? Here's something to pay attention to. Does the pain feel deep rather than surface level? Does it get worse when you're active and better when you rest? Does it come with a sense of pressure or tightness? If you answered yes to any of these, your heart might be trying to tell you something. And remember, this pain isn't always constant. It can come and go over several weeks leading up to a heart attack. That's why so many people ignore it. But ignoring it can be deadly. If you ever notice pain in your jaw, shoulders, arms, or back that doesn't seem to have an obvious cause, don't wait. Get it checked out. It can make all the difference. Now, we've talked about fatigue and unexplained pain, but there's another warning sign that's even more subtle, one that happens right under your nose, literally. And that's where we're going next. Have you ever noticed yourself feeling a little short of breath? Even when you're not doing anything strenuous, maybe you're just sitting in your chair reading a book, and suddenly you feel like you need to take a deeper breath. Or perhaps you're walking up a short flight of stairs, something you've done 100 times before, but this time you feel a little more winded than usual. If that sounds familiar, pay attention. because shortness of breath is another early warning sign that your heart might be in trouble. A lot of people think that getting winded is just part of getting older. And yes, our lungs and muscles do change with age, but here's what most people don't realize. When your heart is struggling, it can't pump blood as efficiently as it should. That means less oxygen reaches your body and brain, making even simple activities feel harder than they should. Now, here's the tricky part. Shortness of breath doesn't always happen during activity. In fact, one of the biggest red flags is when you feel short of breath while resting or even lying down. Have you ever noticed that you need to prop yourself up with pillows at night to breathe more comfortably? Or maybe you wake up in the middle of the night gasping for air. That could be a sign that your heart isn't pumping properly and fluid is starting to build up in your lungs. And this is where people get it wrong. They think, oh, maybe I just have allergies, or I must be out of shape. But the truth is, if you find yourself struggling to catch your breath without a clear reason, especially if it happens suddenly or repeatedly, it could be your body giving you an early warning. Now let's move on to the next sign. This one is especially sneaky because it often gets dismissed as something minor, digestive issues. Imagine you've just finished dinner and suddenly you feel a little nauseous. Maybe there's a strange discomfort in your stomach, or you feel an odd pressure in your chest that reminds you of heartburn. So you pop an antacid, assume it's indigestion, and move on. But what if it's not? Many people don't realize that nausea, heartburn, and even vomiting can be early signs of a heart attack, especially in older adults. Here's why. When your heart is in distress, it can trigger the vagus nerve, which runs from your brain all the way down to your stomach. This nerve controls a lot of your digestive functions, so when your heart isn't working properly, it can send signals that mimic digestive issues. Think about that for a second. You might assume that your upset stomach is just from something you ate, when in reality, it's your heart sounding the alarm. And the biggest mistake people make, they wait. They think, I'll see if it gets better. But the longer you wait, the greater the risk. Now, I want you to ask yourself, have you been experiencing frequent nausea, stomach discomfort, or a sudden loss of appetite, especially along with other symptoms like fatigue or shortness of breath? If so, don't ignore it. Because here's the truth, many people who had heart attacks later admitted they had digestive issues leading up to it, but they never connected the dots. We've now covered 4 of the biggest warning signs: unusual fatigue, pain in unexpected places, shortness of breath, and digestive issues. But there's one more sign that is often the most obvious and yet the most ignored. And that's what we'll talk about next. Now, we've talked about fatigue, unusual pain, shortness of breath, and digestive issues, all of which can be early warning signs of a heart attack. But there's one more sign that often appears in the weeks leading up to a cardiac event, and this one is so clear, so noticeable, yet so frequently dismissed: swelling in your feet, ankles, or legs. I want you to think about this for a second. Have you ever looked down at your feet and noticed they seem puffier than usual? Maybe your socks leave deep marks around your ankles, or your shoes feel tighter, even though you haven't gained weight. You might chalk it up to standing too long or eating something salty, but what if I told you that persistent swelling, especially in the lower body, can be a serious sign that your heart isn't working the way it should? Here's why. Your heart is responsible for pumping blood efficiently throughout your body. But when it starts struggling, when it's not pumping as strongly as it should, fluid can start to build up in your tissues, causing swelling, also known as edema. And while a little swelling might not seem like a big deal, if it happens frequently or gets worse over time, it could mean your heart is having trouble keeping up. A good way to check if your swelling might be heart-related is by pressing a finger gently on your ankle or shin. If the skin stays indented for a few seconds before bouncing back, it's a sign that your body is retaining fluid. And here's something even more concerning. If the swelling gets worse in the evening, or if it's accompanied by shortness of breath or unexplained weight gain, it could be a sign of heart failure developing before an actual heart attack occurs. So let me ask you, have you noticed your ankles or feet looking swollen more often? Have you been feeling heavier or more sluggish even though your diet hasn't changed? If so, it's time to listen to your body. Don't brush it off. Don't wait until it gets worse. Because these small warning signs, they're your heart's way of asking for help before it's too late. Now, we've covered 5 silent warning signs that can appear 30 days before a heart attack. Unusual deep fatigue that doesn't go away. Unexplained pain in the arms, jaw, back, or shoulders. Shortness of breath, even when resting. Digestive issues like nausea or persistent heartburn. Swelling in the feet, ankles, or legs. Each of these signs alone might seem harmless, That's why so many people ignore them. But when you start to notice more than one of these symptoms together, that's when you need to take action. So here's what I want you to do right now. Think about how you've been feeling lately. Have you noticed any of these symptoms in yourself or someone you love? If the answer is yes, don't wait. Schedule a checkup with your doctor and get your heart checked. Because when it comes to your health, prevention is always better than regret. And here's the good news. If you catch these signs early, you can make changes that prevent a heart attack before it ever happens. Simple things like eating heart-healthy foods, staying active, managing stress, and staying on top of your blood pressure can make all the difference. Now, if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone you care about. It might just save their life. And if you want more practical, life-changing health advice, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Thank you for watching, take care of your heart, and remember, your best years are still ahead of you.